Honorable Ibekwe Namdi is my name, the member representing Bende North State Constituency, Abia State, renowned as Omonna as a result of the filial affinity of strength, unity, and greatness that bound the people of Alai, Ibere, Ethem, Ugweke, Ezuku, which has been renowned in time past as the great people of Bende North in Bende local government of Abia State. I would say we do credit to all those that have traversed the leadership plane before I came. They have been able to make a mark. Like I believe as a student of administration, administration is a continuum, sequel to government as well. But I would say categorically with glory to God that I was clear from the time I decided to contest of the things I want to do to set a mark that will resonate in time and eternity. Hence, I consolidated on the things I have been doing, which can be seen from these 3 R's: education, agriculture, and infrastructure. And I can say with all sense of duty and purpose that we have set a pedestal that is quite unique from any angle you look at it in what we have done. For instance, within 100 days and 1 year in office, I constructed a 230 drainage, unprecedented in Bende North, with a 23-meter culvert, sequel to, as a result of the second motion passed in the 8th Assembly that had to do with the perennial erosion problem in Bende North. I decided to make my own personal contribution to curtail that erosion problem, which has been a problem in Bende North. I can say, as a historical instigation in the minds of the people and a reminder that erosion menace is existential problem in Bende North. And for anybody who will bestow or will invent to bestow the leadership terrain must have this at the back of his mind and begin to make not only impact, but to continue with what have started. Because for the very first time, we have made it in the consciousness of the people to know that erosion is a perennial and existential problem which must be tackled, or in the coming years, it will cause the people to relocate from their ancestral lands to elsewhere. God forbid that they become IDP in other places in the local government. So that is one thing we have done. We have brought that to the consciousness of the people first, and then we have gone ahead to show example that things can change when the leadership begin to take the right stride and do the right thing. Aside that, in education, we have been able to institute an endowment fund in Abia State University, which we have domesticated further in Bende North constituency, in Alai, Ethem, and had gone further to adopt a school in Amanku Amankalo, Ibere, where the entire students will take care of all ancillaries. We all know that education is free in Abia State. However, students still pay for examination. They still pay PTA, they still pay for all other ancillary fees, but we have said we want to ensure that no child in Bende North wouldn't go to school as a result of these paltry fees, which oftentimes is a Herculean task for parents to undertake. So currently, the school we met at 86 pupils now have over 112 pupils as a result of what we have done. And we also gone ahead to show up the teaching and learning process, because one thing is to lay a platform, another thing is to maintain the platform and ensure efficiency and effectiveness are guaranteed. We undertook the employment of additional 5 teachers who will also contribute to the teachers paid by government and ensure these students get requisite value for the effort we are making through the endowment fund. And the same thing in other schools in Bende North. This translates to a causal analysis we did of all the schools in Bende North, and we find out their infrastructural challenges. In fact, the most heart-touching is the fact that some of the schools do not have requisite materials. In fact, some of them were burnt in the last season, Ramadan season, as a result of recklessness of the people, of which we forewarned 2 weeks before most of this thing happened. I know I was on radio, I placed it on the media, and cautioned people to be careful since the Ramadan season is around, on how they burn bushes and all that. Unfortunately, most schools were burnt. However, we have brought this to the notice of the requisite agency of government, and I know in due course, attention will be given to them in line with our own effort to ensure that infrastructural needs of these schools are met. So, in the area of agriculture, in line with what we've been doing since 2017, we have orchestrated further sensitization, done more trainings on modern agriculture. In fact, we on 4th of May, 2024, we did the first in the history of Bende North planting season kickoff, whereby we invited the farmers and we distributed various seedlings. After training, we distributed various seedlings, including cucumber, watermelon, okra, corn seedlings, and all that. In fact, after the training and distribution, some women group had to request specifically for improved the cassava seedling, of which we went ahead to provide. Imagine we are almost more than 500 women were given a sizable quantity of cassava, and they planted. And I would say I'm happy that results are coming. In fact, one honorable Noram from Item called me that one of the women that received the cucumber told her that at least for the first time she can go to market every week with cucumber and sell. The same other result from elsewhere. And this is bridging the fruit deficit in Bende North. And I can also tell you, most of our people outside the shores and within these shores are taking peculiar interest in agriculture and agro-allied chains, because we have gone ahead, apart from the sensitization through seminars and all that, we have done publications. Specifically, I remember the one I mentioned, I say, understanding the business in the business of agriculture. I explained the various chains involved in agriculture. We could include processing, packaging, marketing, sales, and even export. So agriculture has a very broad value chain which can keep the people employed and busy, and also orchestrate a quantum leap in revenue generation for the state, where massive income generation for the constituents of Umona. Rice farming is peculiar to areas in Bende North. The same thing, cassava, cashew, palm and palm oil related aspects of agriculture and other. Let's just take two for instance. The value chain involved in cassava alone can have both micro and macro industries established that can be involved in not only cassava processing as for gari as the end product or produce rather. You will also have those companies involved in starch making, involved in even feed for pig and all that. We all are aware that currently to purchase feed for the birds, chicken and all that, even pigs, goats and all that, is very, very costly. So we are even giving training on how people can learn how to just concentrate on how to make feeds and also even how to make manure, because we believe that natural manure is far better than the processed aspect of it. So we are taking this a notch higher to the point that we believe that those involved in agriculture can be on equal par with those involved in agriculture in US, in Israel, in South Africa, Denmark, and all that. By the way, available record last year states that China had overtaken US in agriculture. Yes, they made over $500 billion from agriculture and agro-related business. Now you can find out that there is mega money involved in agriculture when it is done from the business perspective and not the subsistency aspect. So apart from harnessing the comparative advantage we have in other areas, we tend to take this a notch higher so that we can begin to see small factories, big factories being involved. Imagine where you can have over 10, 100, 1,000 trailer coming in with cassava. And as various sections, it will be peeled, it will be processed. Those that will use the starch will use the starch. Those that will use the other byproduce for fertilizer, for feed, and all that, for manure rather, and feed will be involved and be doing that. Imagine the level of employment that will create, and also, most importantly, the revenue and income both to the government and to the people. That's the perspective we are looking at. When you talk about viability, maybe you might be looking at funds. I can also tell you the funds are there. The most important thing is to have the willingness, which we are orchestrating in the minds of our people, both within and outside. Let me give you an example. Do you know Bende North can tap into diaspora funds and use it to establish a mega agro-allied factory that can take tons of cassava, for instance, or cashew, or palm seedlings. All it takes is for the people to realize what we are saying, our sensitization, and then pull these funds and establish that there. And as the member representing Bende North, we are creating the ambience, because currently the willingness of the people is higher than what we method. And also, let me shock you, the young man that came in here told me that from his assessment, that planting or farming or agricultural activities in Bende North have increased from 30%, where he meant it 2-3 years ago, to about 100%. And he's postulating that by next year, it will be about 120%. Why? Because I have been to Lagos, I have been to Abuja, and I've even gone outside the country and talked to our people and say, put funds establish this thing. And I'm happy. Most of them have started by giving small support to their people at home to increase their productivity in farming. If maybe somebody farmed a plot, is farming an acre, a hectare rather, and we hope it will increase where you can see over 50 acres, 100 acres, just cassava alone. Other people are tapping into palm oil and related ancillaries. For instance, you are aware, we established a palm mill in MADUBUIKE and Ibere, and the communities are handling it, and is also a source of job creation. Imagine where more people get engaged in palm. There's a lot you can get from palm and its ancillaries. Not only oil, there are other things that can be done with the residue. It is a total gamut of both activities and also of functions that will keep the people employed and also create income for the people. I am interested in placing Bende North on the global map. For instance, we didn't have a website before I came in. We currently have a website on Bende North where you can see what the sights and sounds in Bende North and also investment opportunities. Time will fail me if I begin to talk about even investment in tourism. We have several tourists. Of course, you are aware I moved the motion on tourism sometime on the essence of venturing into tourism, because tourism is also an aspect that can yield so much revenue and create employment for not only people of Bende North, but entire Abia State. Like I stated that period, US had over $202 billion generated from tourism last year. UK followed with 200,000. Paris, France had about $98 billion. Spain, $48 billion. South Africa is the only country closer in Africa that had $2 billion, with Cape Town generating about $1 billion. Now, imagine when we talk about the long juju of Arochukwu, we talk about the Kibere. You come and see the science and the beauty, the aesthetic beauty of nature. You view it. In fact, recently I was telling somebody we can replicate Table Mountain in Bende North. I have seen the places, I have even taken pictures where tourists can come. You can replicate what they do in Cape Town or using the Table Mountain. We have a similar replica of such a scenery in Bende North where tourists can stand, take pictures, appreciate the beauty of nature, and also visit the Oromini in Item, where you can meet nature and nature can permeate your system and regenerate the essence of being a human being, and you feel happy that you have touched your legs and foot in the great land of Itemobi, where they say the land will open and close up because of the greatness of the nature and natural sights and sounds available. The same thing in MADUBUIKE, the same thing in our life. In Bende North is replica with several tourist sites that can be developed. And the same thing with Abia State. We have the Azumiri Blue River, where we can get investors to get boats, get yachts, and they drive people around with a good curator explaining the history behind the river and the beauty of the environment and the aesthetics of nature involved. You also have our colonial museum in Aba, where with the right information can generate a lot of income. So we have avalanche of opportunities in Abia State and Bende North in particular. So it is important we let the world know about this and encourage our people to come and invest. Let me tell you, my brother, based on what we are doing, we have a constituent who is a diasporan doing a recreation center. When I went there, I marveled. These are the things that should be encouraged. He had a dream of replicating the Wonderland in Bende North. He has started. So we have set a pedestal for a quantum leap in the developmental trajectory of Bende North, which I think in the nearest future, we can't go below, we'll go higher to what we can call the irreducible the decimal based on the standard we have set.